What's up, Marvelites, and welcome to a brand new episode of the MCUExchange podcast. Woo! Special edition. This is a Halloween episode. Boo. My name is Aaron. I'll be your host for this episode. Alongside me is Charles
What's up?
and Joe.
Hello.
Before we get down to business in our Halloween themed topic, let's now run down every MCU news in the past week. Starting off with one of the biggest lately. It's for the Moon Knight Disney Plus series. Marvel has already found their Moon Knight. Yay! A new report from Deadline has confirmed that Marvel Studios has tapped Star Wars alum Oscar Isaac to play the lead role of Mark Spector in Moon Knight for Disney Plus. And from moments after that, a day after that, the director was found for Moon Knight as well, because Deadline also reported that Marvel Studios has tapped Mohamed Diab to direct the upcoming Disney Plus series Moon Knight. He's Egyptian, by the way, so it really fits. Joe, what do you think about this Oscar Isaac Moon Knight pairing?
It's first of all, it's great to see Moon Knight get cast, and especially such a high-profile actor with Oscar Isaac. I did not expect that. I kind of thought they're going to go more low-profile or someone rather new, but if they got Oscar Isaac, that's a huge deal and could be a big sign for what they have planned for the character. I will say that what I find really interesting is, there was a lot of debate that the actor who plays Moon Knight is Jewish due to the connections and connotations of the character. So Oscar Isaac, I think, isn't Jewish, but his father is, so he has a Jewish heritage. But it's just a little confusing on that aspect, but I'm very curious how they're going to integrate that character or that aspect of the character into the show. But then you also have the Egyptian director. That is really, really interesting. Because Mohamed Diab, what I could see, he's very well known for having the high. Sorry, before I say this wrong, his films are the highest grossing films from that region. So he is a big profile director that is kind of breaking through into Hollywood with this, into the United States. So I'm really, really curious what he has to bring. Plus, if this means we're going to see a lot more of Egypt than we first thought we were going to, and if we're going to see more of Khonshu in the series.
Yeah, it's a very interesting addition. It was a surprising addition. Charles, what is your reaction when you first heard this news?
Well, like Joe, it was very surprising. It was more surprising that we got Oscar Isaac. Like Joe said, he's super duper high profile. He might be the most high profile, I guess, lead actor we've gotten in a very, very long time. I might be wrong, but just thinking about it off the top of my head, Oscar Isaac, Star Wars, and he's in Dune. He's basically in almost every beloved tentpole film right now, and now he's gonna be in the MCU as Moon Knight. He's a very good actor, so I can't hate on that. But yeah, it's such a super duper unexpected casting for him. Like Joe said, I think a lot of fans were thrown off at the idea that they want to cast a really true blue Jewish actor to play the role, but with Isaac, he's only, I guess, part Jewish with his dad,
No.
so that might not always be the case. It's good to remember that these grids aren't always, they don't follow these grids down to a T. So Oscar Isaac is one of those surprise castings that really, it doesn't necessarily align with what we were expecting, but it works on all levels considering how great the guy is acting. I guess with Mohamed Diab, it is kind of cool that they are getting people of who know what it's like, all the Egyptian stuff, all the who are fully aware about Egyptian culture and the mythology and whatnot, and they can add this authenticity to the character and the story. I think Miss Marvel, the directors, also, I think most of them are I think, I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Most of them seem to be like very Pakistani. They're in line with that heritage. The fact that Marvel's getting these types of talent to come projects that are mostly catered to the fanboys in the West. The fact that they're getting this authentic talent to bring their authentic voices to inject their authentic voices into the MCU is super duper exciting, and it's good news all the way. I can't wait to see what Oscar Isaac is gonna do. I think, because Moon Knight in the comics, he has a bunch of identities, and he's gone through some different variations to in his appearances. I am wondering if they're gonna go the Mr. Knight route, where he's like a, what do you call this? He's a wisecracking guy who's in a wise and just beating people up, you know, in
The
alleys and what,
detective, yeah.
yeah, like a detective and whatnot. So I wonder if they're gonna go with that, because Oscar Isaac kind of fits that angle for the character, and I'm excited just to see what he's gonna bring to all of Moon Knight's alternate identities.
Yeah, and because it's a really big addition, and I can't wait to see him side by side with the rest of the MCU heroes. It's just a follow-up question, guys. Which hero do you think best paired with Moon Knight? In moving forward, Charles.
Oh.
I think because he's a street guy. However, he's also a bit of an Avengers guy. He's been in the Avengers books for some
Mm.
time. I wouldn't be mad if he gets paired with someone like Captain America.
Falcon. Yeah.
Just so yeah, Falcon Captain America, or any Captain America. I'm very curious on what the pairings are gonna be like, because you got the street character who's kind of like Batman, but also super rich, but also very very unhinged, and you got Captain America to sort of anchor him. So I'd love to see them
Mm.
go in a mix together.
My original choice, because of the connections in the comics, would have been Black Panther. Because there's a lot of, like, in the comics, Black Panther also has a very strong connection to the dead. But given the circumstances, I think what would make it very interesting pairing is Moon Knight with Thor, because the whole background of, because, like, for now the only confirmed existence of a god is Thor. So with Moon Knight, it also depends on what direction they're going with Khonshu, if he's just a part of his mind or one of the identities in his head. And I really, really hope they go with the design with, like, that bird skull. I really hope to see that on TV, on Disney Plus. But, like, if he's real, this opens up a whole new question of, like, you have these two people. One is literally a god. One is resurrected and controlled by a god. And I could just kind of see a lot of fun with their arrogance and all that happening.
And now, there's a little bit of good news in the next one, because finally, after numerous delays because of the COVID pandemic, several MCU productions have now wrapped, which is now Shang-Chi, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and WandaVision. This is very good news because, first off, Shang-Chi, the lead actor, Simu Liu, shared very enthusiastic comments about the wrapping of production, because he said that, and I quote, 9 months from now, we will break records and make history as the first superhero movie to feature an all-Asian cast that kicks so much ass. It's not even funny. Well, that's a lie. Actually, it's quite funny too. So that's Simu hyping up Shang-Chi, and also it's very good news. And this bodes well for the eventual release dates of these projects, because after numerous delays, finally we can the post-production process is currently ongoing, and we can be excited for the upcoming development of these projects. Charles, what do you think about this development? Finally, MCU projects finally wrapping up production.
It's so weird because they all seem to wrap like within a week, but we're somehow like in various stages. Like I think when Falcon was delayed, they were about to film in Prague, so they were like, I guess they were at least maybe 60-70% done, while WandaVision was just, I think, I might be wrong. I might be getting my timeline mixed up. WandaVision was kinda almost done wrapping, while what's the other one? What the fuck's the other shit that wrap? Shang-Chi, yeah, Shang-Chi was like early when the lockdown started. Fucking Dustin Daniel Cretton got COVID. So it's so weird that all these things were in various stages when COVID happened, but now they're all wrapping within a week's notice. So there's some crazy magic going on. I don't know if they started using the volume for all this stuff, but man, it's so nice to hear that it's all done. Um, WandaVision we should be hearing about when it's coming out real soon. If it's coming out in 2020, because it's November, literally tomorrow, and in less than 60 days, we'll be able to finally see the first fucking MCU property. So, again, super duper fun news. Nothing really big, but it's so nice to hear that finally we've gotten over the hurdle of these projects getting delayed.
So, how about you? With all of this wrapped up, when do you think the Falcon and the Winter Soldier will premiere? Do you think it's January, February, or I don't know, March?
Oh, that's a mean question.
So,
It's no, it's very good. It's the thing is, we don't know how different the effects work is between WandaVision and Falcon the Winter Soldier, because Falcon Winter Soldier, what we've seen so far, seems to have a lot of like live action stunts and stuff, while WandaVision is more about, it's a sitcom based concept with some action beats, but it's probably, less focused on that. So the question is, it's like, if WandaVision just wrapped and they potentially are releasing in 2020, let's say by the end or beginning of December, potentially, they are going to be working and finalizing a lot of the post effects work while it's airing, which is not uncommon for television in general. But it does open up the question, as like, okay, Falcon and Winter Soldier finished filming at the same time. Could we see it earlier? My best guess is I think they're going to stay away from January. I think they're going to let WandaVision play out. If it comes out in December, that'll go into January because there will be a Christmas break. So I'll say, optimistically, I think we could see it in March, because that would tie us over. So we would have the show until January. February is a short month. March, they have that show starting, and it leads into May for Black Widow, if that releases in May, depending on various circumstances. But the question is also like if there's any connections between Black Widow and Falcon the Winter Soldier. I really hope they do not postpone Falcon the Winter Soldier after Black Widow, because that would kind of just deter everything and drag everything out again. But I'll say optimistically, I could see them dead-eyeing a March release potentially. They could pull what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did, is if there's one or two episodes that are connected to Black Widow and they're like at the end of the season, they could postpone it to later and have those air after Black Widow, which we saw with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when they had the episode that tied into Age of Ultron, for example, where they aired like right after the movie aired. So that could be an interesting thing, or even before it.
And when you point that out, I remember one thing, Joe. Back in December, The Mandalorian has that Force healing episode, which coincides with the rise of the Skywalker, right? So that
exactly.
Gonna do the similar plan because Disney. They're gonna do the same thing,
making us watch their content.
Yeah, but the important thing is production is wrapped, so we're not shooting anymore. They're all safe. So post-production work is potentially going on maybe this week or next week, and we can't wait to find out if they will release trailers or teasers or posters or I don't know. Who knows? Let's now move on to another Disney Plus news here. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting news because there's a Funko Pop leak for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it shows off Falcon, of course, Bucky, and Baron Zemo, which is very interesting because the figure is named Baron Zemo. As you guys can recall, during Civil War, Zemo was only called Zemo. So now they're transitioning to a new project. His name is now Baron Zemo. So could this potentially mean that Zemo will be called Baron Zemo in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show? Charles, what do you think?
I mean, it's weird. When we saw this, I was kind of like, oh, maybe that's why he's named Baron Zemo, because he's Baron Zemo in the comics. But turns out Funko is usually very accurate with how they name their toys. They really base it on like if the Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy isn't a raccoon, he's just called Rocket, and in the Funko Pop, he's just called Rocket too. So there's some semblance of an accuracy there. So it makes me wonder if, man, how the fuck did Zemo become a Baron in, I don't know, like 7 years since or rather 8 years since Civil War happened, or 7 years, I don't fucking remember. But I'm curious how they're gonna explain that he's a Baron, because again, I kind of don't know also what barons do. I know that it's like they're people of power, so I'm not quite sure how they're gonna explain this. If he's really a baron or if it's just like a title he carries to intimidate people and to intimidate super villains. But I am. It's really cool to see the show approach the character like that. They're not afraid to give him the purple mask. They're not afraid of him to call him a baron. They're not just oh, he's just Zemo. He's not Baron Zemo. But it looks like they're gonna go with the actual comic book route of give him a purple sock. Let's call him Baron Zemo, which I think is pretty cool. But I don't know. Joey might know more about this. Why, and how. Like what does a baron do? I don't know.
So there's different nowadays you can get the title of baron in in Great Britain, for example, the Queen can bestow it upon you. It's pretty much the rank below Viscount. In Germany, because Baron Zemo was German in the comics, it used to be because Germany has a lot of roots in the Roman Empire. It was like a knightly family, or knights were given that. So the barons, or the Freiherren, as it's in German, at times, they're kind of like they were the knights. So they got pretty much for the rank to work under someone higher, they were given land.
Interesting.
Oh,
so
so
there's many different versions.
So Baron Zemo might own land in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I kind of have a theory that maybe we do not know how he got free, because he at one point had to escape from that beautiful prison we saw him last in. So either during the time of the snap, I could see him kind of helping to rebuild Sokovia. So he becomes pretty much for his work, he's set free and becomes a baron of Sokovia, the remains of it.
Oh.
Because I don't think they're gonna I don't see them really building on his German heritage if they built him up as a Sokovian, or they go with he's actually from Germany with Baron bloodline and that's why he gets the title. I could see that happening as well.
Is it possible that in Sokovia they might happen to have like barons and basically people of nobility in Sokovia?
I could see that because I can tell from Austrian and German history, these hereditary titles like Baron, Viscounts and stuff, they are forbidden since 1919. So if they go by real world rules, he couldn't get the title in the original comic lore of the character. So it's very. I mean, okay, he was from the 1940s in the comics, so that screws it up anyway. But I could see it being connected to Sokovia in some way.
Right, because we don't know if he's from a well-off family, is he? Because I've always pictured him as someone who's not rich. Like, I mean, just the way you told the story, Black Panther, when his family died, he kind of seemed like an everyman who just happened to be a really, really skilled soldier. He's not a fancy guy. I mean, his dad's living with him, his wife and his kid, and he doesn't seem like I was in a palace when Ultron happened. No, he's just like he was a guy. His dad was living with him, and then Ultron happened, and they died. So he seems like an everyman. So I am very curious how he's gonna get this title, because I mean the theory that he does something actually good to earn the title, I find that very, very interesting as well.
I mean, they could go the route that they did with Superman Returns, where I don't know if you guys remember where Lex Luthor buries the old lady to get her entire estate and everything to get rich again. Yeah. So he finds someone who has a baroness and kind of just plays her throughout the years and gets the baron title.
Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. Yeah.
Maybe connected to the rumors of Madripoor showing up.
Yeah, I could see that.
And because Zemo knows how to plan really well on how to craft this strategic. So you might. Okay, that's about wraps it up for the rundown here. Let's now move on to the exchange, guys, because it's Halloween. In the spirit of Halloween, we're going to talk about the MCU's scariest moments. We all know that the MCU is has that real family-friendly vibe. It's all jokes, humor, light and funny because the heroes are like that. But even then, the MCU has a few terrifying moments when the stakes rise to the extreme, or the villain wants to make a point. Hello, Thanos. So now move on to what are the scariest MCU moments during the Infinity Saga? Because of course, obviously, we don't have Phase 4 yet, so we're gonna talk about Infinity Saga. Um, Joe, how about what's your take on this? What is your scariest MCU moments or moment? It can be one, can be two, can be three. It's up to you.
I'll say one of the scariest. It's not really scary per se. It's just more of a nightmare scenario. It's an AntMan.
And
It's when Darren. Yeah, it's when Darren Cross, where he's in the bathroom, and he just shrinks that guy into that little bit of goo, because that stuck with me. It was just like, nah.
That was kind of gross.
It's kind of like it reminded me, like, for some reason someone had the idea to throw a Cronenberg moment into an Ant-Man film.
We see the fucking we see the guy turn into like like a pimple.
Yeah.
Like, it's so gross.
And it's still moving. That's the worst part. Like, he still is in there.
Wow, you surprised us with your entry, Joe.
It's for me, it's kind of like the thought, like a lot of childhood. I think a lot of children oriented or young adult kind of stuff have some of the scariest moments, like the witches turning the kids into rats or mice. Or if you think about the Pee Wee Herman film where the truck lady's face turns into like this creepy claymation thing. And I kind of think Ant-Man just was like in that regard to like, oh, we're friendly for the family, and then that happens. And then on top of it, you have the moment where Darren, or Yellow Jacket, crushes into himself, because that was nightmarish as well and looked painful as all hell. So there's some creepy ass moments in that film.
Super creepy. Do you have any more entry?
I was thinking, like the thing is with like scary or horrific elements, I'll say one that also stuck with me, and this is more psychological. I'm a huge Silent Hill fan. The fact that Doctor Strange decides to be in an unending loop of him getting killed over and over again. That's kind of a nightmare scenario. It's kind of like those, like a lot of horror films love to play around with the fact that like you're dying, but you never truly can die. Like in Evil Within 2, where the artist kills you, but it's slow motion, so you're pretty much still alive in slow motion, but dying slowly. That's kind of what it makes me think of.
It's like Happy Death Day.
Yeah, true. Yeah, Happy Death Day too. Yeah.
Oh man, Dormammu can't bargain. Dies all the time. That's really scary. Charles, what about you? What are your MCU scariest moments?
You know what I think is still, what I think is still an authentic horror sequence in the MCU. It happens early on in the MCU when we see Bruce Banner turn into the Hulk for the first time in the Avengers movie. That is like for 5 minutes when Black Widow stuck under that I don't know, like a vent. Mm-hmm. That is genuinely like the first that's a genuinely legit horror sequence where you understand, like, oh my god, it's happening. Everyone's fucked. Everyone inside that ship is fucked. And it's also the first time we see like how painful it is for Bruce Banner mentally and like emotionally and physically. Like he kind of pleads for Nat to run. And when Nat says, like I swear on my life we're gonna get through this, like Bruce just shouts at her like you're alive and just turns into a Hulk. And they also go into like this hide and seek where Nat's trying to hide from the Hulk, and this giant's like looking after her, and we actually see like a jump scare, and then we see the Hulk in his full glory chasing Nat, and it's just like a really scary moment and what it means to have the Hulk break out while you're flying 1,000 feet in the air. Like the stakes are so huge. You understand as an audience member, like, oh my god, they're all fucked, and it's kind of scary, if you're like an agent in that helicarrier, and you hear a giant scream, and you feel like the the floor shake, you're kind of like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. So I think that's genuinely a really good horror sequence in the MCU, and it happens like phase one. So I think it's pretty.
Early on.
It's one of the. I think it's one of the best things Joss Whedon has done for the MCU. That sequence alone.
What else, Josh? Do you have anything else?
I mean, the obvious one is the what do you call this? The Mysterio scene in the nightmare sequence, the literal nightmare sequence in Far From Home, where we actually see, like some actual legit scary sequences with Iron Man and the skeleton and all the crazy surreal stuff that's happening in that sequence. But yeah, so that was a really well done sequence. But I think, like, to me, I still like the Hulk one better, because there's something cool about it happening when the MCU wasn't, the greatest thing in the whole world yet. I think that's pretty sick.
And it was unexpected in that sequence because you because you're just expecting Hulk to be Hulk, and then sequence.
Yeah,
Right
Joss Whedon, he milks the tension so well. Like, you really feel what Nat is feeling during that scene. What about you, Aaron? What's your pick for scariest scene?
For me, I originally picked the Mysterio illusion sequence, the hologram sequence between Spider-Man. But since you mentioned that, I have a backup here. So I have a backup. It's also in a Spider-Man film, guys. It's from Spider-Man Homecoming. It's a terrifying scene for me because I can relate to it. Because, you know that scene where Peter and Adrian Toomes, while in the car, they're in the car, inside the car.
Oh yeah.
It's terrifying, and then it's not just a classic dad talk, guys. No, it's not. It's it's like it's a I will kill you talk, like that. It's very chilling, because when I saw it, I was that when Adrian Toomes gave him a warning about about the daughter, about being Spider-Man, stuff like that, and not messing around with him. That really scares me.
The lighting though in that scene is so good.
And also when he looks at the what do you call this? The rear view mirror towards Peter. Holy shit, he's got to figure it out.
I mean, we have to say Michael Keaton is a really good actor, and like everyone's like, oh, he's Batman and everything. I will say Birdman cemented him again as a fantastic actor, and I was so excited when they got him for Homecoming, as ironic as that was. But the sequence just showed how intense he can be, and just the fact that like the red lights hitting his face as he realizes what's going on, and his speech just slows down just that tad bit where you're like, oh no.
And Joe, the eyes of Michael Keaton. Damn, that's terrifying.
Yeah. I kind of want to watch the scene as soon as we finish recording, because it's such a good scene.
Yeah. And I have another one because I've been trying to find out if this is scary, and yes, it's scary. We know that the snap is scary, right? The snap, when the heroes got defeated during Infinity War. But for me, the first one that I was terrified when I first saw this in a leak before Age of Ultron. Was that sequence in Tony's dream when Wanda messed with her mind and you saw the Avengers?
Oh yeah, good. That was a literal
Age of Ultron.
Yeah, that was good.
It's a disturbing vision of Tony Stark seeing the heroes defeated, that prompted him to create Ultron, and that watching it again when I was rewatching it due to Endgame's imminent release last year, I was like, man, this scene foreshadowed a lot before Endgame.
I mean, Ultron in general, Age of Ultron in general foreshadows a lot for the Infinity War and Endgame. So, Age of Ultron is a fucking great movie.
I think it was really underappreciated when it was released, and it really grew on me the more you saw everything that was set up, but it still works as its own film. And there was some fantastic. I think my personal favorite nightmare sequence from that film is the one with Thor, because it's so disorienting.
So that's it. Those are our picks for the MCU scariest moments. How about you guys, our listeners? What are your scariest moments from the MCU? Can you give us a tweet over at twitter.com/MCUExchange? You can also hit a like button on our YouTube page where we post all our episodes at youtube.com/MCUExchange. You can also head over to Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Breaker, and Apple Podcasts for you guys to listen to every episode. This is episode 38 and the rest of the episodes, episode 137. All amazing listens for everyone. And that's it. Yeah. For all of you guys who want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter. That's twitter.com/AaronChin. That's AaronChin. You can also follow Joe on Twitter.
At thatalbell, ThatAberl.
Yes. You can also follow Charles on Twitter.
Just follow me on Twitter at CFSVNLeva.
Yes. And thank you, everyone. Keep safe. Happy Halloween. Yay, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.